Oi boys, welcome to another video on the channel. We are back with some NRL tips, round 1, part 2. We're off to a pretty bad start, going 0 from 2 from the first 2 matches. We took the Bunnies and the Broncos. Manly looked pretty bloody good. I actually liked the look of Manly, but wasn't confident to take them, and they picked up the dub. As for the Chooks, I underestimated just how big a hole our departing players left. Herbie with the hard yakka was sorely missed, pretty evident, as well as Flegler through the middle. It didn't help that Piakura went off early, but yeah, the Chooks looked good. Hold on to your sombreros, boys. It's only round 1. But yeah, credit to the Roosters. Let's get to the rest of the matches. And our third game for round 1, we kick things off with the Knights taking on the Canberra Raiders. Starting with the back 5 of the Knights, we got Kalyn Ponga, Inari Tuala, Dane Gagai, Bradman Best, Greg Marzhew, Tyson Gamble, and Hastings in the halves. And for the Raiders, Jordan Lapina, Nick Kotrick, Matt Timoko, Albert Hopoate, Xavier Savage on the wing with Ethan Strange and Jamal Fogarty in the halves. Few things to take note of in the back line. We got Inari Tuala getting the nod over their new recruit Tom Jenkins, and for the Raiders, so Lapina at fullback, Nick Kotrick back on the wing. They're without Seb Chris, of course, which means Albert Hopoate has been moved into the centers. And their final big change in the back line, Ethan Strange gets the nod over recruit KO Weeks. Onto the engine room for the Knights, they got Jacob Saifiti, Phoenix Crossland, Leo Thompson, Tyson Frizzell, Dylan Lucas, and Adam Elliott. And for the Raiders, we got Josh Papali'i, Danny Levy, Joseph Tapine, Hudson Young, Zach Hosking, and Morgan Smithies. So no Brayley for round 1 at least. He is having hamstring complications, we'll say that. Crossland gets the nod, and there were questions with their back row. It looks like Dylan Lucas gets first dibs, and you'll see on the bench Kai Pearce-Paul. That's where they've got him. As for the Raiders, they got Danny Levy starting the season with Tom Starling on the bench, which we will take a look at. They also have Zach Hosking in the back row starting, and Morgan Smithies in 13 for the suspended Corey Horsburgh. Speaking of the bench, let's take a quick look. Alright, so for the Knights, Jack Cogger, new recruit, will be there 14. They got Daniel Saifiti on the bench, Jack Hetherington, and the aforementioned Kai Pearce-Paul. As for the Raiders, they got Tom Starling, Emre Guler, Ata Mariota, and Pasami Solo. Do I expect the same quality that we got from the opening 2 matches? Not really. I've got the Knights 1 to 12, and we'll take KP for a trip to the bakery. Friday's matches, we got a banger of a doubleheader. We got, first up, the Warriors taking on the Sharks at Go Media Stadium. Starting with the Warriors back line, we got Taine Tuaupiki, Dallin Watene-Zelezniak, Rocco Berry, Roger Tuivasa-Sheck, Marcelo Montoya, Luke Metcalf, and Sean Johnson in the halves. And for the Sharkies, they got Will Kennedy, Sone Gato, Jesse Ramian, Sosifa Dalakai, Ronaldo Mulitalo, Braden Trindle, and Nico Hines will be playing. So the big omission for the Wires, of course, no chance Nickel Klokstad, and they've committed to RTS playing that centre role with them bringing in Taine Tuaupiki. Berry also gets the starts over, who was he in contention with, Adam Pompey, and Metcalf over Temaito Martin. For the Sharkies, they've pretty much got a stock standard side, with obviously Trindle, now their new number 6. There were whispers of Nico Hines being in doubt, but I guess we'll see come game day. He is named right here. Moving on to the engine room for the Warriors, we've got Adam Fanor-Blake, Wade Egan, Mitch Barnett, Jackson Ford, Kurt Capewell, and Tohu Harris. And for the Sharkies, they got Oregon Galfusi, Blake Brayley, Royce Hunt, Britton Nikora, Teague Wilton, and Cam McInnes at lock. The interchange, we've got Freddie Lussick, Tom Male, Bantiafoa, and Dylan Walker. And for the Sharkies, Dale Finucane, Jack Williams, Toby Rudolph, and Tom Hazelton. That's a bloody heavy bench. Few things to chat about here. They've got, for the Warriors, we all expected Kepa to walk into that starting side. I'm assuming Neil Cortez injured, with Ford starting on the other side of the field. And on their bench, it's the second time now we've seen a double hooker rotation with Egan and Freddie Lussick in the 14. And surprisingly, only one half of the Bullet brothers, Dylan Walker, with Jazz Tavanga missing out. He's in resis. As for the Sharkies, like I said, a pretty heavy bench. I'm wondering if we'll see a little rotation between Brayley and McInnes when like a Toby Rudolph or Finucane comes off the bench. That's an interesting watch. But yeah, let's get to my pick for this match. I'm rocking with the home side again, the Warriors. They seemingly have the Sharks number. I'm pretty sure they're like, it says right here, 2-0 from their last 2 meetings. One of them was that ridiculous comeback, I think. But yeah, I'm rocking with the Warriors. Their first home game of the season. They're going to be tough to beat. I'll take them 13+, and we'll go with Kurt Capewell to score in his Warriors debut. And for the match of the round headlining the Friday nights, we have the Storm taking on the Panthers at Amy Park. Starting off with the home side, we got Ryan Pappenhausen, Will Warbrick, Remus Smith, Nick Meaney, Xavier Coates, Cam Munster and Jerome Hughes. That's their 1-7. For the Panthers, they got Dylan Edwards, Sunia Turuva, Isaac Tungo, Taylor May, Brian To'o, Jerome Luai and Nathan Cleary. So both sides from 1-7 pretty much full strength. In the engine room for the Storm, we got Tui Kamikamica, Harry Grant, Josh King, Joe Chan, Elias Agator and Trent Loiero. And for the Panthers, we've got Moses Leota, Luke Summerton, James Fisher-Harris, Luke Garner, Liam Martin, and Isaiah Yeo. Coming off the pine for the Storm, we've got Tyron Wishart, Christian Welsh, Chris Lewis, and Alec McDonald. And for the Panthers, we've got Tyrone Peachy, Lindsay Smith, Liam Henry, and Matt Eisenhuth. So a couple of omissions for both sides, but mostly hampered are the Panthers with no, what's old mate's name, Mitch Kenny. It looks like Sonny Luke's just fallen completely out of favour. They got Laurie there at 18th man. Looking at the Storm, Joe Chan gets the nod over recruits Sean Bloor. Looks like they're still sussing out their left edge back row and their lock with Trent Loiero starting at 13. That'll be an interesting watch. As for my pick in this match, it's a tough one to tip. Do we take the Storm at home? Not to mention that insane stat of them never losing a game in a round 1 game in 21 years. They're looking for their 22nd round 1 win in a row. On the other side of the fence, you got the Panthers, who stylistically they're a nightmare for the Storm. I'm currently looking at odds here, and the Panthers are the faves in Melbourne. I mean, I get it. You know what? We're going to stay on the side of the stats. We're going to take the Storm. We'll take them in a close one, 1-12, then we'll go with a bit of value for anytime try scorer and take Harry Grant. 2 games for Super Saturday, the first being the Parramatta Eels taking on the Canterbury-Bankstown Bulldogs, this being played at CommBank Stadium. We'll start with the Eels here. We've got Clint Gutherson, Bailey Simonson, Will Bensini, Morgan Harper, Sean Russell, Dylan Brown and Mitchell Moses from 1-7. And for the Bulldogs, we got Blake Taff, Blake Wilson, Jacob Carraz, Steve Crichton, Josh Adokar, Matt Burton and Drew Hutchison, getting the nod in the number 7 for the first match of the season. Alright, so obviously no Micah Sivo, who was suspended. Simonson back on the wing, that means Morgan Harper gets a crack in the centres. And for the Bulldogs, no Bronson Xerri. First crack goes to Jacob Carraz, which I like, to be honest. Carraz is a bit of a beast. Critter in the centres, not at fullback, is an interesting choice. I probably should have seen that coming with Blake Taff playing both games, both trial games at 1. But yeah, there's a lot of chat around Critter being their number 1. We'll see how that goes or how long that lasts. And Hutchison's another surprise for me, starting in the 7. We did see him there in trials though. Moving on to the engine room for the Eels, we got Regan Campbell-Gillard, Joey Lussick gets the nod, Junior Paulo, Sean Lane, Bryce Cartwright and Jermaine Hopgood. And for the Bulldogs, we got Max King, Reid Marnie, Puasa Fa'amausili, I believe, Vili Kikau, Jacob Preston and Jamin Salmon gets to start in the 13. These 2 teams, I've been waiting for these 2 teams only because they affect my NRL fantasy team, which we will talk about at a later date, tomorrow to be exact. Anyway, moving on to the interchange, we got Brendan Hands, Ryan Madison, Joe Ofahengawe and Kalma Tuilangi. And for the Dogs, we got Kurt Mann, Samuel Hughes, Josh Curran and Curtis Warren. And there's Bronson Xerri at 18th man. As for my pick, I've been waiting on seeing who their 9 will be, and it looks like they're going for another double 9 rotation. But yeah, I'll take Parramatta. I like them at home with Brown, Moses, Gutho pretty fit, as well as their experienced forward pack. I will take them in a close one against Canterbury, 1-12. And let me get Bailey Simonson for a meat pie. The last game for Saturday, we have the Gold Coast Titans hosting the St. George Illawarra Dragons. They're 1-7. Starting with the Titans, we've got Kano Kinney, Alofiana Khan Pereira, Brian Kelly, AJ Brimson, Philip Sami, Kieran Foran and Tanner Boyd. And for the Dragons, we've got Tyrell Sloan, Zach Lomax on the wing, Moses Sualii, Jack Bird in the centres, Mikaele Ravalawa to round off the back 5, and in the halves, Kyle Flanagan with Ben Hunt. Alright, so like the Warriors, the Titans are sticking with AJ Brimson in the centres with no Jaden Campbell, bringing in that youngster Kano Kinney. Other than that, everything else is pretty much stock standard. For the Dragons, Lomax on the wing, Bird back in the outside backs is interesting. And of course, we expected Kyle Flanagan to partner Ben Hunt. Moving on to the engine room for the Titans, they got Mofo Tuaika, Chris Randall, Tino Fa'asua Maleawi, Cleese Haas, Bo Fermor and Keenan Palacia. The Dragons, we've got Frankie Molo, Jacob Little, Blake Laurie, Tom Eisenhuth, Jaden Su'a, and Jack DeBellin. Coming off the pine for the Titans, we've got Sam Merrills, Isaac Liu, Aaron Clark, and Jamin Jolliffe. And for the Dragons, Connor Malisen, Mick Molo, Viliami Fifita, and Raymond Faitala Mariner. Interesting for the Dragons, there's no Couchmans, and also no Dan Russell, who I thought was pretty decent for them. As for my pick, we're going to go with the Titans here, although the Dragons are tempting. Obviously no Dave Fifita, but the return of Beau Fermor, keen to see that. Just skimming over the lineups, it should be another cracking game. But my tip will be with the home side again, and we'll back the returning Beau Fermor to bag a meat pie. That's Titans, 1-12. And to close out the round, we have a Queensland derby between the Redcliffe Dolphins and the North Queensland Cowboys. This being played at Suncorp Stadium, 3 PM kickoff. Starting with the Dolphins, they're 1-7. We got the Hammer, Jermaine Isako, Desi Newell, Herbie Farnworth, Jack Bostock, Cody Nicodema, and Sean O'Sullivan in the halves. For the Cows, they got Scott Drinkwater, Kyle Felt, Val Holmes, Zach Labart, Murray Taulangi, Tom Dearden, and Chad Townsend. So they've gone with Desi Newell over Jake Averillo, which is interesting. I guess Desi's looked pretty good in the trials. For the Cowboys, it's stock standard stuff. Moving on to the engine room, for the Dolphins, we've got Jesse Bromwich, Jerry Marshall-King, Tom Flegler, Felice Kaufusi, Connolly Lemuelu, and Ray Stone at lock. And for the Cowboys, we've got Jordan McLean, Reese Robson, Jason Dalmalolo in the front row, Caleb Lukey, Jeremiah Nanai, and Ruben Cotter at lock. Real quick, the interchange for the Dolphins, we got Josh Kerr, Matt Plath, Kenny Bromwich, and Mark Nichols. And for the Cows, we got Jake Granville, Griffin Neem, Sam McIntyre, and Gulikefu Fine Fiyuiaki. So no Tom Mikaele. I see him down here in reserves. Tom Chester's 18th man. On the side of the Dolphins, we got Wallace at 18th man, Jake Averillo, Ewan Aiken, and no Kato. I completely forgot about Saya Kato. To be fair, Cody Nicodemus has been pretty good for them. What was the other interesting selection? Damalolo back in the front row. So that's their plan for no Cone Hess, whose season is over. That's another one to watch. We did see him play front row a couple years ago, and he wasn't as effective as he was at lock. I want to back the lads on the road. Give me the Cowboys. They were a little disappointing last season. We'll take them to start hot this season. I'm trying to look for a point of difference in this lineup, and it's pretty even across the board, to be honest. I'd maybe give the slight edge to the Cows in the halves with Dearden and Townsend. We'll stick with that. We'll take the Cowboys, and we'll take, let's see, who do we think will bag a meat pie? Actually, let's take Halem Luki. He'll be on the side of Cody Nikodima. I like either him or Fine Fuyuaki to get that, but we'll take Halem. And yeah, the Cowboys, 1-12. Lock it in. And that is us for the first round tips. Again, reminders, if you do want to join the OddSquad tipping comp, there'll be a link to that in the comments or in the description. Join that for fun, and we might suss out some prizes come the end of the season. As always, if you have any tips and predictions of your own, let us know in the comment section down below. And yeah, we're going to call it there. If you enjoyed that and would like to see more rugby league related content or more content in general, be sure to have hit that like button. Thanks for tuning in, and I'll see you later.